We're going to move on to what has been a juggernaut, but took a step back last year, amount a season from hell. That is the San Francisco 49ers, the Santa Clara 49ers, hosts of this year's Super Bowl, 6-11 last year. Just a really rough year for the 49ers. I mean, off field, on field, it was when one of your players gets shot going into the season. I'm not really liking the vibes there.
The vibes.
But this offense. Kyle Shanahan is still the main play caller. There's another Kubiak on this staff. We kind of know what we're getting here with this scheme and the strengths and weaknesses, though. But Charles, this 49ers team that still has a bunch of injured players, especially at the skill position spots. What are you focusing on with the offense?
I want to be more panicked. I feel like I should be more panicked than I am. But even when you look at some of the numbers last year, because they had similar issues last year. Brandon Aiyuk got hurt. Was like a little more than halfway through the season, or a little earlier than halfway through the season, I should say. So they were without him for a good chunk. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, when he came back, I'm kind of stunned that fantasy guys are all over this thing, because he did not look like the same player at all to me when he got back from his injury that caused him to miss the good early portion of the season, because it just didn't look like he had the same explosion. Like the skill level looked okay, but actually breaking out on some of these long runs and getting explosive chunks, looked like it was a little harder for them. But then you look at where they were last year, they still had, they were still 11th in success rate on offense. They were 5th in success rate on dropbacks, 4th in percentage of plays that go for a first down or a touchdown, 8th in explosive play percentage, 7th in red zone success rate. I mean, Kyle Shanahan had built the machine, and I understand where maybe casual fans look at this and say, "Oh, Kyle Shanahan's overhyped. He can't win the Super Bowl. He can't get to the big one." But this is kind of what Super Bowl level coaches do when guys are out and they're hurt. You can still credibly say that you have a top 10 offense, and we're sitting here talking about, well, I don't even know how good the quarterback is. So I can't find myself getting too down on this. We like some of the pieces here already. Still, Ricky Pearsall looks like he can step up and be a fine receiver. We've been big fans of Jauan Jennings, George Kittle. I get concerned about the offensive line, but man, I've felt that way for several years now, and they still keep churning out top 10 offenses. So I don't know.
Always. I know that's the thing, is most other teams, I'm like, oh man, this offensive line, and I always just throw it out. And I know that's not fair, but he's already proved it. Kyle Shanahan has proved that it doesn't matter who's up front as long as they got Trent Williams, but there's 3 NPCs on that offensive line, and I'm fine with it. Dominick Puni's real as long as he's healthy. Another guy, he has a knee sprain, but I think he's playing week 1, so we're good. But yeah, that's how I am with this team. I know other teams are probably like, what? You just chalk it up. It's like, yeah, because no matter what happens, as long as a couple of those starters are out there, the quarterback and maybe the offensive line or maybe a back or one skill position guy, this offense keeps churning. But great point about CMC, because I'm with you. He faces more injuries than not usually, and he's a running back getting up there. Last year, I'm just even looking at max speed. From Next Gen Stats, his highest in the game was 17.4 miles an hour. The other games, the max speed was 16.3, 16.7, 16.1. So frame of reference, 20 miles an hour is elite, excellent. 19 is pretty damn good. You're hoping an 18 is kind of the good level. The year before that, 20.9, 20, 19.4, 19.3, 19.3, 18.9, 18. These are the max speeds that he hits in every game. There's only 2 games that he was below 17. And last year, there's a majority of them. So what you're saying, just again, eye test, it's his max speed wasn't all the way there. And there's going to be circumstances where you're able to get max speed with the types of runs and all that. Yeah. But just a one quick little glimpse at the data, that's a downward trend. That's not exactly what you want. They traded for Brian Robinson, who I would describe, and I mean this complimentary and derogatory, is a simple runner. He's a simple runner. It's blocked there. He's going to get it. And I think that's why coaches like him. Maybe not Washington. Yeah. But they do. And so if CMC's out, I think Shanahan went through a whole thing where it's all right, Isaac Guerendo's a shot play guy at running back. He has no vision. He's only big plays or not. If CMC gets hurt, we can't live through another season of that, of just like, oh my God, he's missing all the easy gains. So they got a guy that can just stay on schedule. And I think that's what they want from that backup role. But I've become more of a believer in Brock Purdy over the years. I think that's why they've invested so much in the receiver, because I think Shanahan was trying to evolve this offense into more of a straight drop back, let it roll. We have a great run game, but then we can just drop back and rip it. And I think they'll do that a little bit more. Get under center and straight drop back. No play action, no nothing. Just let it read out and let all these players go to work. They just have to be healthy. and then we can finally see the vision. But like Jauan Jennings is awesome if he's out there. I know that he has injury stuff and contract stuff. Truly one of my favorite players in the NFL. Can play inside out, can block, can do everything. Aiyuk, if he's out there, has turned into a great receiver. That guy was looked at as a top 10 guy until he held out and then got hurt last year. That was only a year ago. And then Ricky Pearsall, who I know our guy Matt Harmon's high on. I'm high on based on how he's looked. So it's like, I get it why they want to do that. Having said all that, did like their little tight end signing and Luke Farrell from the Jags. Because I think this is Shanahan tried to sign Brock Wright from the Lions, and the Lions matched the contract, which like nobody was expecting last year. So I think Shanahan's wanted this blocking bruiser tight end to open up Kittle. Hey, if our receivers are hurt, we can just go 2 tight ends. Juszczyk doesn't need to do so much because he's getting older too. I think he's like 34, 33, 34. So that's like a little sneaky signing that this 49ers team made that I like to kind of just, help cushion themselves from injuries and kind of keep the personnel groups open. So yeah, Luke Farrell. This is my main bullet point for my 49ers offense breakdown that I had as a number 7 in my top 10 rankings. It's Shanahan, man. If Purdy's healthy, and you got Mac Jones, who's looking comfortable in the offense. Like, completed that narrative. That story arc with Mac Jones to Kyle Shanahan. But yeah, the defense, though, make me a little antsy. Robert Saleh comes back to this team, to this franchise that got him the Jets job in the first place. That fantastic, was it 2019 year? God, it feels so long ago. But he got that, ton of energy. He's usually a quarters guy, kind of simplistic defense, wants his guys to run and rip. But you still got Fred Warner, still got Nick Bosa, still got Demonador Lenore, who I think is a Pro Bowl caliber corner, got paid as well. But the thing is, that's when you look away from those guys, Charles, maybe start getting a little antsy. So what are you thinking about this 49ers defense? How are you stacking them up?
I wanted to be more excited about this than I was, but this to me, it seems like a boom bust defense for at least for this year. Michael Williams, a guy that we both liked, he hasn't played this preseason.
And that's what's tempering it.
And that was the knock on him. The injuries kept kind of piling up at Georgia, and I saw he was I think he's back practicing today. So this is Monday after preseason ends, so maybe he'll be on track to play for week 1. But I don't know what it looks like. He hasn't played at all. I don't really have any frame of reference for where he's going to be versus NFL offensive lineman, and that's going to be a kind of a big wild card. And we were, I had some concern about like where they had spent these picks on defense because they had 2 all-juice team players in Upton Stout and Nick Martin that they drafted on day 2 of the draft, where we mostly got like late day 3 or priority UDFA grades on those guys from the people that we asked. And they kind of looked like that this preseason. Especially Nick Martin. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if he's going to be a guy that gets into the rotation a lot this year. And his competition was like D. Winters, a former 6th-round pick who is also undersized himself, like coming from TCU. And then Upton Stout is like a 5'8", 185-pound nickel back. So this is like a small front 7. And you at least wanted to say like, well, okay, yeah, we're going small at nickel, we're going small at linebacker, but we've at least spent on the defensive line, right? Right. So we got Michael Williams, hasn't played. Alfred Collins, he has not looked all that good to me.
I don't think I've heard kind of negative things, and that might be not fair to him, but at least the last I checked in, which is about a week ago, when I was like, all right, well, how are you doing, Collins? I have not, it was not rosy, at least when I was looking at it.
It didn't look all that pretty to me. I saw some of the same stuff where, at Texas to me, where it's just like, you're just a tick slow on a lot of this stuff.
He gets reached.
You're big.
Yeah,
you're big and you're strong, but you're slow.
No.
No. You cannot be getting reached out here. If you're not going to be rushing the passes like that, you can't be getting reached. So
it have to be impossible.
I don't.
If you get reached, you're dead. You're useless.
Yeah. So I don't really know what these guys play out like, but I know that they're pretty much necessary for what success they may or may not have on defense this year. So right now, as it's patched together, like you still have some like assassins, right? You got Nick Bosa, you got Fred Warner. Yeah. Those guys are going to give you a highish floor, but I think they're missing some pieces to bring this to a complete defense. Probably looking more like next year, the year after, when this all comes together.
Like I'm way optimistic on the 49ers improving from last year, not winning. They're going to be better in 6 games. It's just like you said, it feels like this year is more like we'll be better, but like it's not a Super Bowl run team to me because of the defensive stuff more than anything. Even the offensive questions, it's more the defense I've looked at is you need good units on both sides to make a run. And that's why I agree with you. It's like one more season. I think next year I'm like, okay. And they sort out everybody, all the receivers, they figure out the hierarchy. We'll see how this kind of offensive changes work. Maybe it's a less true run game, more true pass game. We'll see how that works. But the defense is their biggest weakness has been stopping the run. I usually like to look at suplex rate or success rate, but just even EPA per rush. This was the 49ers ranks since 2019. So since they've kind of become a contending team, that Saleh year I mentioned, 2019, they were 9th. 2020, 9th, 2021, 1st, 2022, 2nd, 2023, 28th, 2024, 28th. They just if you want to play this, it's not soft mentality, but softer defenses with a lot of zone, a lot of quarters, pretty easy for the quarterback to determine what you have and for the offense to determine what you have as far as run game wise. You need to stop the run from those looks. Because then you're just killing yourself on 3rd down. You're just making it easy for offenses to matriculate down the field. So I think no matter what, that was the big offense or defensive improvement for this team. And I got all giddy. I wouldn't shut up about Michael Williams for like 3 months. Every time we did like a little superlative show, I'm bringing up Michael Williams. Well, then he's hurt. So then it kind of tempers me a little bit down. You mentioned the interior stuff. It's like, all right, who's plugging the run for these guys if they want to play those soft boxes? Fred Warner's amazing, unbelievable. Are we trusting everyone around him to be also unbelievable? Like, you need a really good slot, but we got Lenore on the outside now. He's phenomenal in the slot, but this defense for the last couple of years can never figure out how to have Lenore because he kind of shores up wherever their weaknesses is. And I would almost rather have him in the slot because of how this defense plays. And that's me, but they need him on the outside because they probably just don't trust everything. So it's just, and then even guys I'm optimistic about, Malik Mustafa, the headhunter they got from last year from Wake Forest, he's hurt. So, just these where I thought their answers were coming from, they're all hurt or just not playing yet. And I just want to see this freaking pass rush with Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff, and Mikel Williams kicked inside. Just let me see it because I want to see a 3rd and 9 where these guys are teeing off on some bad offensive lines, but they play a division with the Cardinals run game, who were 2nd in rushing suplex rate last year, the Rams run game, who were 10th in rushing suplex rate last year, I believe top 5 in success rate. The Seahawks run games could be much better. We'll talk about them in a sec. All right, are you guys going to be able to hold up against the run against all those games? They play, what other teams they play? The Saints with their bully ball offensive line. They play them early. They play the Bucks offensive line when Tristan Wirfs coming back from an injury. They play the Falcons run game. I know we have questions with the Falcons, but not that run game. Just it's like that feels like it's going to be a thorn in their side if they just don't have a good game script on the overall for their team. So yeah, again, this is another team. This feels like my Rams discussion with their whole team too, where it's like I was so much more optimistic about this, and now as I've looked and time's going on, I'm just kind of like tempering myself and lowering kind of my expectations for this unit. All right, breakout player for the 49ers. This was a little tough for me because all the players I wanted to say were hurt. Malik Mustafa, Mikel Williams, and Dominick Puni. So curious where you went with this category.
I said I still went injured guy. I went Puni. I think he's one of the guys that when he gets healthy, he's got some real talent. He's got real talent. I think to be a long-term starting guard. So look, did I want to pick an injured player? No, but it's thin picking. The other one I was thinking was maybe Renardo Green, but I think I'm going to go with Puni, the guard that they drafted in the third round recently.
I like that with Puni. Or I'm sorry, with Renardo Green. That's actually a great call too. I should have given him a little shout out. No, Puni, really like him. Did not think he would ever end up in the Shanahan offense. And I think that's I love when Shanahan gets a burly ball guy or, just a barroom brawler type and they're good. I just love that kind of mix mash of personnel. So great call with Puni. Probably would have been mine if he was healthy.
He goes after one every once in a while because he went after Joshua Garnett. Then they had Aaron Banks and now he's got Puni.
Yep. Yep. Even in Washington, he had a guy and I'm blanking on his name. Mikel came to the Falcons. I've told you a couple parts of this story, but their staff was like, hey, this is our ideal player at this position. This is our ideal player at this position. And he brought up some guard that the Commanders had, Washington had. And it was just the ugliest guard I've ever seen. Looked ugly in his stance, everything. But Kyle was trying to make a point, hey, it's not going to be all these finesse, really athletic guys. I can make these ugly ogres work too. And I wish I could remember the guy's name because he's worthy of a shout out. I'm going to go with Ricky Pearsall almost by default because receiver room injured, but also all the guys, other guys I want to mention have been injured right now. But I think he's a good player. I think that was a good pick. He catches everything. I think he's got some real route running juice to him. I also think he's in an offense that's perfect for him. He's willing to go over the middle. He can play inside and out, at least to me. I know our guy, Matt Harmon, is super high on him. If he was on this show, it would probably be his breakout player. But yeah, Ricky Pearsall, good player, someone I'm targeting in fantasy as well, just because of just what I think this offense is going to be this year. All right. Over, under, win total. Vegas is very high on the 49ers. A lot of the underlying metrics are high on the 49ers. They face the easiest schedule in the NFL. As we sit right here on August 25th, that changes very quickly. Over under 10.5 wins, Charles. What do you think?
Under. I'm scared of his defense. I mean, even last year, they finished 29th in success rate per play on defense. I don't really know how they get out of that unless Michael Williams, which is possible because we just haven't seen him play. Which he just has an outstanding rookie year. I think they're going to be pretty tough against the run again, but you have just enough where you probably flirt with 8 or 9 wins.
Yep, I'm going under just because 10 wins is still under. 9 wins, 10 wins, that's under. Still technically under. Yeah, so I'm going under, but it's not like I'm totally out on this team. So I just want to kind of talk out both sides of my mouth with that. But
it just getting to 11-6 and 12-5 range seems like a lot.
That's a little. I see this team as 9-8 or 10-7, and like a solid one. Shoot, maybe I just picture this whole division like that. That's what's ruining it. I just want to end this is that Charles and I are both high on Mikel Williams, and so what Charles said there is very true. If he's healthy and hits the ground running, then a lot of our conversation is kind of. Okay, never mind. That's why I was high on him in the draft. That's why I was high on him with the philosophy of what the 49ers are going for, because I think he enters the league. Even I know I haven't seen it yet in preseason either. He's going to be a plus run defender right away, and unlocks their pass rushing juice on third down. So that's why I think if he is healthy, does hit the ground running, it's a big if, that's going to really help find some answers for this defense. So just want to reiterate my Mikel Williams love for the 40th time this offseason.